Greetings, everyone. My name is Tim Keys. I do content on DAWs and plugins, different aspects of sound design, in particular patch creation. And today I'm going to do an overview of Ableton. I want to do a more in-depth video on Ableton's feature set and why I think it's a good DAW and who it would be ideal for. So we're going to get started. Ableton has been around for quite a few years. I've talked about this in some other videos, and Ableton's strength, in my opinion, is how it handles audio in terms of being able to sync audio together. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Ableton right now is currently on version 11, and yeah, in my opinion, it's doing well. They got multiple versions that you can pick from. I'm using the trial version, and mine is discontinued because I have used it and ran out of time. I haven't decided if I'm going to upgrade to the new version yet because I'm still trying to get used to Ableton's overall workflow. But one of the things that makes Ableton nice is how it handles its audio. And I'm going to show you that real quick. So if you haven't seen this, then this would be nice. So I just took a break beat. I was at 120 BPM. I dragged the beat into my session and it automatically matches the tempo of the loop to my song. And so when I play it, so just like that, it took that, and when I threw it into the session mode, I was good to go. Again, that one matched it to 131.25. All right, so there's that. So yes, Ableton handles audio very well. I'm going to try to bring that back down to 120. On the other hand, with audio, I'll show you something. If I put this riff, if you will, in one of the instruments, like the simpler, then it will match the audio of the loop to the tempo of the song, which is very convenient. Like, you don't, if you want to get into chopping up those breakbeats and those loops, you don't have to worry about doing that. So that is a nice feature. I know quite a few other DAWs have it, like Studio One. I think Cakewalk does it. And I'm not sure if Bitwig does it. I haven't tested this feature out. Maybe I'll do that later. But the fact that Ableton does it and they do it so smoothly is very much appreciated if you're into doing breakbeats and sample-based production on that end. So let's go back here into our instruments. Now, Ableton, depending on what version of Ableton you get, is going to dictate the amount of plugins that you have native to the DAW. Let me pause. Let me stop that. If you're using the standard edition, which I would recommend at least getting standard, then you would get stuff like your drum rack. I think now you get a drum synth, you get your external instrument, impulse, instrument rack. I think you get simpler. I'm not sure if you get sampler. And so that's pretty much it. But the advantage is you only pay $450 for the plugin. And if you're coming from a DAW or you already have access to a lot of plugins, then Suite might not necessarily be needed for you. I know there are some differences in the audio effects as well as the MIDI effects as well. I also know you don't get Max for Live, which is why um, Suite may be more ideal for you, and it is the reason that it costs more. With Ableton Suite, you get these plugins like Analog, Collision, Electric, you get the sampler, you get tension and wavetable. Mind you that the plugins like Analog, Electric, I think, and the tension and collision, those four plugins are made in conjunction with Applied Acoustics Systems. They are responsible for products like Lizard Lounge and the Strum, and the String Synth. And so those are physical model plugins, and they're going to offer you a unique approach to sounds and tones because they're not generated by samples. You're using a synthesizer based product, if you will, to get that tone. And I'll show you what I mean. So let's open up Collision. Collision has a lot of different stuff that you can do with it. So it may not sound like anything impressive, but you have, in this particular plugin, you have what they call Resonator 1, Resonator 2, which is kind of like an oscillator, if you will, but they give you the option to pick like a tube, pipe, membrane, string, marimba. As you move it. Here's the voice amount. They start you off at 4. I'm going to go to 12. What I don't want to happen is my release to be that long. There we go. So that's marimba. I'll do one more string. So as you move it around, you get more of a plucked feel. Versus a longer, almost like strum. And mind you, you have 2 resonators that you can use, which is going to change your sound. So this is one of the pluck patches, or one of the patches that is now housed up in Ableton's instrument rack. And instrument rack, I said that wrong. Instrument, nope. It is basically like their own approach to a combinator plugin, if you will, where it will allow you to take different plugins that you have stock or VST and put them into its own wrap, and you can combine them with your own effects and effects chains to create the different sounds you like. So I'll scroll back so you can see what's in it. So in this case, you have the collision, but then you have a chorus, an echo, and tape effects, which is why we have that hiss sound. And then everything can be controlled from these 8 parameters. So that is one of the perks of using the instrument rack in Ableton. They also have an XY pad that you can use to set up so that you can now control different aspects of the sound in ways that you wouldn't be able to in the plugin itself. So there's that. Get out of that. So I want that hiss. There we go. So that's just an example of one of the several different instruments that come with Ableton Suite, in particular, this the applied acoustic samples. Wavetable is pretty nice. I slept on it at first, but you get a lot of different options for sounds to choose. You not only have your basics, but you have, just different wavetable categories that you could use. And then within those categories, as you can see, there's just a horde of different types of wavetables that you can use to get your sound. I will say the drawback that I've seen so far with wavetable is the polyphony only goes up to 8. There are other plugins where you can get more polyphony. I think Vital will definitely give you more. Reasons Europa will give you more, but that might come at the cost of the strain on your computer, as well as just the different types of the sheer amount of wavetables they offer is ridiculous in a good way. They have your filter section, attack, decay, sustain, release. What I don't necessarily see is the ability to, okay, you do have the ability to fold. You have to go into the matrix section. You have your Midi, and then your MPE, which again, that's pretty nice. The other advantage of Suite over Standard is you get, Max for Live. Max for Live is, let's see, what is Max Instrument? Will they let me play it? Get Max for Live packs at Ableton. So Max for Live will basically allow you to build your own instrument. It's kind of like they have their own store where you can buy instruments, very similar to Reason's, what is it, like their store where you buy rack extensions, but in this case you're buying their instruments, or you can build your own instrument. So if you want to build a wavetable FM additive, gadget on steroids, you can totally do that with Max for Live, and everything will be native to the Ableton workflow, depending on how you program it. So if you're a programmer, or you're into programming, or just want to try and building your own plugin within Ableton, you can totally do that with the Suite Edition. You can buy Max for Live by itself, like if you just wanted that with Ableton, but you didn't want to pay the $800, but I think it's close to $200 by itself. So if I was doing the math and you bought Ableton Standard for $450, then plucked on another $200 for Max for Live, you're at $650. So you're not too far off. You might be better off getting Suite. So let's see. I'm not going to go through every feature because that'll be too time consuming, and I imagine you all have far better things to do. So I want to keep this video concise as much as I can. Again, going back into the audio manipulation for Ableton, in my opinion, is where it's really at. Like I've seen a lot of plugins like Serato Sample, even Reason's new Mimic plugin, which is, pretty good. There's some things that I wish they would have implemented in that plugin, but for the most part, it's pretty good. So, plugins like Serato Sampler, Reason's Mimic, and there are a couple of other ones that come to mind, paid and free, that you can use. But Simpler, in my opinion, really does the job because you can, again, you can drag your samples in and get to work. If I can find my loops. I'll go back here. So I'm going to throw that in. There we go. So, with something like Simpler, you have three different modes that you can work with. Your You have your simple classic mode. You know, you hold down the key to just play the whole riff through. You can set your loop points. Classic mode is ideal if you want to use a waveform, turn it into an instrument. Same thing with one shot. Then you have your warp mode, and that's going to tie it to the tempo of the song. The higher up you go with something like the Complex versus Complex Pro, what it will do is, it'll keep your tempo, but adjust the pitch. So the tempo will stay the same, but the pitch is, modified. So there's that. Where it really shines through is in slice mode. I can't play drums today. Not today. But you get the idea. So this in slice mode, it will find all the transients of the different parts. And once you do that, it's already mapped across the keys. And you just get busy with it. And it doesn't have any problems differentiating between a Rex file and a WAV file, which I think is kind of important because other DAWs, like Reason, for example, will not, they don't, for whatever reason, you have to do more work if you're using a WAV file to match your loops to the tempo of the song, as opposed to a Rex file. I don't know why that is. I don't know how they programmed it that way, but that's them. Luckily, if you're on Ableton, you're using audio, you don't have that problem. So, yeah, I think Simpler is amazing. The only drawback with Simpler is you can only do one sample at a time. But you might be able to mitigate that, bypass it, if you use an instrument rack and had multiple simplers within the instrument rack. Never tried it. I might do it one day, not today. Could be an experiment for somebody, or perhaps it's already been done. So yeah, in my opinion, I think Ableton is a great DAW. It's kind of pricey in its cost, but once you get it, you can get updates. You can catch them on sale. It has a very nice workflow, especially if you're using audio and you like to do the manipulation of your audio, stretch it out, time stretch it, different things of that nature. And then for me, in my opinion, just really being able to match the tempo of your loops to your track and vice versa. Yeah, you can't ask for more. Maybe a pitch detection, but I don't think it's really necessary. It also does, I've said this in other videos, this will also handle video. So if you're doing film scoring, you can throw videos in here and you can match your music to the video, which is awesome. They've had that since Ableton 9. And you have polyphonic audio conversion to Midi, which is also awesome. So you can take that audio from whatever song you want to, convert it to Midi, and then manipulate the Midi to get something new, and then make that a new loop. Again, that's awesome. I would call that a best kept secret of Ableton, but it's not really a secret when you can look at the back of the box and get the feature descriptions, or you can look it up online. So there's that. So yeah, Ableton offers a lot for what it can do. The best one to get, in my opinion, is Sweet. If you have a bunch of instruments already or a bunch of VSTs that kind of meet those needs, then yeah, I would say stick with standard, but I would at least get standard. Max for Live is a great addition. It might not be necessary for someone who's not into building their own plugins, but yeah, I would say if you got the money, get Ableton, Sweet, get it out your system. And, you know, I didn't talk about it a lot in this video. You got two different windows to use. So if session view overwhelms you, because that happens for a lot of people, I read about the complaints with session view. Session view is overwhelming for some people. I kind of like it, but I understand how, you know, it can get overwhelming because it's not, you don't see everything laid out in front of you. And as you're laying down these loops and these riffs and kind of picking stuff together to create something unique, it might not mesh well with you. You can always hit the arranger window and, you know, now you're in a traditional linear workflow. Set your metronome if you are a part of the Rhythmless Nation like me. Hit this loop. Hit record. Oh, I'm off timing. Yep. So, oh man, did that not come through? Nope, it did not. Oh, sheesh. There we go. Let's bring that down. There we go. I'm gonna turn that metronome off because I am off. But yeah, once you got your riff down, you can pretend it's decent. Click on it at the top. Hit Control D, which is duplicate. You know, make as many bars as you like. Go into your next audio right here and pick an instrument. Pick whatever you want. Lay some riffs down and you will eventually have a song. Automation is real good. I have no real complaints. You might struggle with the piano roll depending on where you're coming from. If you're switching from a different DAW like FL Studio, I don't think any DAW has a piano roll as good as FL Studio in terms of how they work. But that being said, if you're someone who uses MIDI controllers, then it's not going to impact you the same way. And if you're lucky, I won't say lucky enough, if you decide to pick up a push and learn that workflow, then it really kind of puts everything in sync together. So yeah, check it out. Ableton has a 90-day trial. You get access to all the features. You can save and export and, you know, get creative. So yeah, if you're on the fence and looking at different DAWs, check it out. Check it out, see if you like it, and go from there. Anyhow, it's Tim Keys. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you to my new subscribers. I'm sure I butchered this video, but I appreciate you watching anyway. Peace.